The other thing that I'll show you just really quickly about Skype for Business, and this follows on from your question about, what if other people don't have a link, right? So that was the presence information I was talking about where you can federate. But if you wanted to invite people to a more impromptu kind of meeting, okay? So the way we got into that was we kind of escalated an email, we turned it into an instant message, and we called, right? We might want to have a more structured meeting where we go here and just create a new Skype meeting from Outlook, okay? So if I go ahead and do that, it's going to just create a meeting just like I normally have, but it's going to put Skype details in here to go ahead and join, which is pretty cool because one of the problems with integrating any type of new technology is getting your staff to adopt it, right? That's the thing that you hear all the time. But when you have familiar tools like Outlook, right, to be able to go and set up that unified communications experience by creating a meeting like they normally would, right, you get a lot greater uptake, a lot greater adoption of this sort of stuff. So we go ahead and we'll create that, and we'll just invite Robin and whoever we want. Now, the people we invite could be people that don't have Office 365. They could be people external to our organisation that just don't have Office 365 at all, right? And so that might be our customers or our channels or whatever, however we kind of go to market, because we might want to run, let's say, a training, a bit of training. So we'll go ahead, we'll do that, we'll invite them along, and sure enough, when it comes time to join the meeting, they'll click join Skype meeting, but it will take them to Skype in the browser, okay? And they'll be able to see my screen, they'll be able to see the instant messaging conversations, they'll be able to hear my voice, hear my video if I have set it up, right? But long story short is you have tremendous scale with being able to run webinars and do all these sorts of things with people that are external. So that's a little bit on Link, okay? Let's focus just a little bit now on SharePoint. Now, SharePoint is a deep product, okay? And you could run a 2-day seminar on the things that you can use SharePoint for, right? And barely scratch the surface. I think Excite IT are very competent in SharePoint, and they can give you a much deeper run through of some of the things that are possible for creating things like workflows. Do you know what I mean? To have a document that you want to make sure that this document is sent out to these people. We want to track their input on it. We want to do all these sorts of things to create a workflow in your business. SharePoint nails that, right? It is a product to go ahead and do that. Same with creating collaboration or intranet type of portals, okay? So this ability to have a sales portal or a marketing portal or an admin portal or whatever you want, where certain people have access to that, and as a whole they can have access to documents, they can see messages, they can see tasks, information, that you can kind of really build out a pretty deep type of, intranet type of platform all on the back of SharePoint, okay? Which is fantastic, because SharePoint comes with your Office 365 subscription. What we're going to focus on today is two kind of real, key ones. One is a real easy one, right? And this is kind of a response from that Dropbox thing that I talked about before, right? And we're going to focus a little bit on OneDrive for Business, okay? Which is a part of SharePoint, right? But this is going to be more your personal document storage, okay? So how do you store your own files, right, that you might want to have access to? So I'm going to start off on the phone again, right? Now we talked about Office, on the phone, and when I first started at Microsoft, I thought it was a pretty weird concept to have. Why is this such a great selling point to go ahead and have Office on your mobile phone? It's just a small screen, right? To be able to go and do stuff on it seemed a little bit kind of odd to me. But I now find that I use it quite often, right? I use it a lot, and the two things I kind of use it for is, one, if I'm on my way to deliver a presentation, right, and I need to quickly make a change or some quick edit to a document, I can quickly log on and make those changes relatively very easily, right? The other one, which probably I use more, is, I'm a bit forgetful, and I'll often leave the office and go, I was supposed to send that file to Robin, right? So I just forgot to send that file to Robin, and so now I'm going to have to wait till I get back to my computer in a day's time and, remember to go ahead and do that. Chances are I'll forget again and, I never send that file. But I'm one of those people that if I remember stuff right now, I'll do it, right? And so that's what it kind of enables you to do. But all those things make the assumption that you have access to all your files, right? And you certainly don't want a situation where you have some files here, some files there, multiple versions of the files. So that's what kind of OneDrive for Business aims to solve in its most basic sense. So if I go ahead and choose to open up my Office, right? It's going to open up and it's going to show me all the different places I can go ahead and pull this information from, right? So it could be phone, it could be email attachments. In this case, you can see my Katie Jordan OneDrive at Contoso, right? There's a lot more on here than normal because this is my actual personal phone. But here's my demo account. I can go ahead and open up and I can see all my files, right? In the exact same file hierarchy, okay, that they are on my computer. So I have access to them on the go, and I can choose to share that. I can long press on that and click share, which goes to attach it to an email for me, right? Even though I don't have that file necessarily here, it's in OneDrive for Business. It will just tell it to share directly from the cloud. I can click on a file and open it up, and it's going to open up PowerPoint here, and I might decide that I want to change some of this. Oh, there's a newer version available, so I click on yes. Right, what that does is just adds any changes to it. Let's click on this, click on development, let's go ahead and change that to FY15, right, hit save, hit back, right, same thing. Now obviously that's just going to send those changes up to the cloud, right, and they're going to be reflected across whatever device I'm next using, okay, so that's the first place you can't see the benefit of it, is there right on the mobile. The other place is going to be here, right, in the File Explorer. Now, I only keep my files in OneDrive for Business, right? I don't keep anything on my C drive, right? My C drive is no longer something that I use, right? I only keep it on my OneDrive for Business, and you get unlimited storage for OneDrive with every Office 365 subscription, right? So there's no chance of space running out. But the reason you can do that and still get a really good experience is because these files are also stored on my PC, okay? So it's not like every time I open a file on my PC, I'm downloading that file again. Right? They are actually mirrored on my PC, so I can go ahead and open up that 10 megabyte Excel document that I've been working on, and even if I'm offline or I'm on the plane or whatever, right, I don't have to re-download that document. It's saved on here, and when I hit save, right, it just sends those changes up right into OneDrive for Business. Then they will automatically be reflected across all my devices. Okay, so you can kind of see that you do have offline access to them, right? And you don't need to re-download them. They are here, right? If I had to re-download things all the time, I wouldn't use OneDrive for Business for all my files, but the point I'm trying to make is you do. So that's fantastic. The other place you'll see it, right, is going to be here in the web browser, right? Now, the other key benefit of having all your documents stored in the cloud, so there's my exact same file hierarchy that we kind of looked at on the thing and on my File Explorer. You can see there's that file I just updated about a minute ago, because I just did that for my phone. The other key benefit of having stuff stored in the cloud is you can collaborate on documents in a much smarter way, right, than you have in the past. And this used to totally happen to me. I used to work for an organisation, and we might need 4 people to put a bit of data into, let's say, a spreadsheet, right? We'd go, right, John, you send it to Sarah, who's going to send it to Alex, who's going to send, we come up with this round robin, right, of trying to structure and tell people how to go ahead and do things. And meanwhile, there's duplicate versions of documents get made, this person is sick or whatever. And, it wasn't a very smart way of doing it, but when you have all those documents stored in one central place, right, I can choose to share them in much smarter ways. So if I go ahead and hit share, it brings this little thing up here, and I can type in, Robin, whoever I want, right, and click share. She's going to receive an email, okay, with a URL with my message saying, please input your slides here, right? And when she goes ahead and clicks on that, right, it's going to take her into here, which is in Excel Online, okay, so a version of Excel that actually goes ahead and runs in the browser. And when you have everything running in Excel Online here, you can have multiple people all working on the document at the same time, so you can see their data getting inputted. You can start to all collaborate on a document together in real time. That's a much smarter way to be able to go ahead and work on documents, as opposed to this whole notion of creating round robins. And a question that often comes up is, what if someone does something to the document I'm not happy about? It all does have version control. Okay, so we can go ahead and click on version history, right, and it will take a snapshot depending on how you've chosen to set up of every time that document's been modified, so you can go back and get prior versions of the document in case there was changes made that you weren't too happy with. So in the most basic sense, that's what OneDrive for Business and SharePoint can do, right? I'll show you just a little bit more an advanced feature, which I think is really cool. And this kind of talks to that industry trend of big data, okay? So how do we use these tools to be able to kind of decipher and get some good insight out of data? So I'm going to start off with Excel, right? Now, this is a real live kind of solution that my colleague put together, right? And he's no IT developer or anything. He's just a pretty smart dude that likes to tinker around and play. And he, using modern features that come in Excel 2013, you can connect Excel, okay, to any product that generates data, right? So in this case, he chose an MYOB database, right? So everyone knows MYOB, the accounting package, right? And that doesn't have to be MYOB. It could be your warehouse data, it could be, you know, whatever data is generating stuff, right? But the point is, this connects and creates a live data connection between MIOB and Excel. Okay, so every time an invoice got generated in MIOB for this amount of this, you know, product at this date, at this time, blah 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 blah, it automatically spits data just there, right? No one has to run reports. It's live. It's up to date. Then what happens, right, is we upload that into a SharePoint library. Okay, so we move it into the cloud, and we do some smarts and we wrap this other product over the top of it called Power BI. And then we can start to kind of decipher and get insight out of that information. Remember, all this stuff is live, right? It's all up to date. So in this case, I can start to type in what were our total sales, right? It's going to think about it for 2 seconds and bang, it tells us what our total sales were, right? So see, I'm using natural language to try and query that document to get some insight out of it. And it's all live. So I go, what were our total sales in New South Wales, right? Bang, gets that information. What are our total sales in New South Wales by customer, right? Thinks about it for 2 seconds and bang, spits it out to us in a graph, right? What are our total sales in New South Wales by customer compared to Victoria, right? Bang, it goes ahead and spits that stuff out, right? So the powerful thing is that's all live data, right? That's all connected to whatever line of business application we've gone ahead and gone and set it up, and we start to get some very quick insights onto various parts of our business. That's just one part of what Power BI can do when it's paired with SharePoint, but you can do a lot of things where you can actually create some pre-described kind of dashboards, okay? So we can click on there and we can see pie graphs, charts, all that sort of stuff that is all pulling from live data feeds around your business. Then there are mobile applications that sit on top of that. So there's an iPad application for Power BI, there's a Windows 8 application for Power BI, and you'll be able to go Power BI, open it up, bang, and you'll get those same dashboards all pulling in live data, right? So you can start to see this idea of being able to control and get access to all this data that you have available to you is you know, now at your fingertips, right? And it's a lot very easy to do, and it's really, really quite powerful. How are we going on time? One more little demonstration of something we'll do with big data, or?
Sure. No, another demo.
Another demo?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is just, I mean, this one is more just to show you that we talked a lot about the cloud services, right, and how they make these applications more powerful, right? That's the kind of, I mean, a lot of the key messages that I've had. Let's have a look at another one, right? So that was us manipulating our internal data that we had, okay? Here's a little scenario, right? I'm a company and I make security screen doors, right? And I've been an Australian company and we've done very well in Australia, and we now are at the stage where we want to go ahead and expand into the US, okay? So we want to expand into the US market, and my boss comes to me and goes, right, I would like to find out, we're going to go and pitch to get funding to go ahead and do this, so I would like you to work out, A, where we should open up our base of operations, right? And B, I want you to present that in a way to the board so we can potentially get the funding. You've got 2 minutes, right? So ordinarily you'd say, you know, it's a ridiculous time frame, but thanks to the cloud, thanks to the modern versions of Excel, we can actually just search for data even if we don't have it. So I'm going to search online, okay, and I'm going to decide that, you know, we're making security screen doors, you know, it might be a good thing to look at what the crime data is in the USA. You know, let's get some crime statistics. So I'm going to type in USA crime data. It's going to think about it. It's going to pull up some data that I didn't actually have before, right? So because I've done this before, I know that this is the one I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and all of a sudden, going out to the cloud, speaking to it, and it's about to pull in the crime statistics from the US government in 2012, right? So there you go, bang, I've got that. So that's pretty good, but what the MO was that I needed to kind of present that in a way that was you know, consumable. So let's go ahead and plot that on a map, right? So using this thing called Power Map, which is again a different cloud service. This is the big mapping service, okay? It's going to go ahead, it's going to decipher, it's going to read all that information for us, and hopefully, it just takes a while. It was a nerve, slightly nerves away, bang. See how it's going to plotted all that stuff on a globe for us. So that's using the big mapping service that's read that data. It's almost created like a little mini pivot table for us from those sides, from those people that know how to use pivot tables, you know, which actually isn't me. So I'm going to go ahead and just click next here, and I think burglary was the one that we were interested in because we made security screen doors. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit on burglary, right? You can kind of see that some of them kind of rows there. Just going to create scene. Turn on these map labels, right? So let's try and zoom in at areas that seem to have a lot of kind of security. That might be a good place to base our operations. You know, people that had a lot of burglary. Now, so I hope you're not from Detroit, because I normally pick on Detroit, but Detroit seems to be like the area where, based on these statistics, there was quite a lot of burglary and whatnot. So anyway, that's it. The guys come now, and we've kind of turned this into a little video, so we can press the play button and we can say, ladies and gentlemen, after our extensive analysis of the US market, we have come to the conclusion that the best place to base our operations is going to be right here in Detroit, based on its high levels of burglary and whatnot, right? So thank you very much. That's what we were kind of looking to do, right? So that's a kind of a unique scenario. You can kind of see that all the different cloud services that I was using then to kind of aggregate and move into something like an Excel file, and I can export that little movie and put it into a PowerPoint presentation, you know, and all of a sudden I've got something which, in the past, I probably would have paid a market research firm and a marketing agency to be able to knock me up a nice little kind of 3D animation like that. But bang, I did all that in kind of a minute just using Excel once it's kind of got all these cloud services powered in the back. So that's the point, right? These applications are a lot more powerful when you have these cloud services. SharePoint, SkyDrive for Business, SkyDrive for Business? Skype for Business, you know, even Excel with the mapping services and all these sorts of things behind it. So that's kind of what I had to go through. I'll probably jump up when we start talking about the questions at the end, and we can kind of go from there, and I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards if there be.
So let me just tell you what I learned when you showed me that, and that is, you're not going to speak to my boss because his expectations of me are going to change.
Really? In what way?
On what he's going to present or expect me to be able to do with all these services.
The good thing about this stuff, it's quite user-friendly, right? So I'm no Excel whiz, and I find myself using these things all the time. And Excel used to be that product that had so much functionality that was locked behind such a learning curve, right? To be able to go ahead and do things, you kind of need to be a pretty wizard at it, and that was never me. So you could actually learn how to do this stuff pretty easily, and if anything, you'll look really impressive in front of your boss, because all of a sudden you're making 3D animations based on live data, you know, on the phone. All right, cool. So let's jump back into the next section here.